Happy New Year, wonderful people. Here's hoping the year ahead is happy and fulfilling for us all. And remember, keep asking questions, keep communicating with one another and with me, and keep positive. Firstly, before we get started, I want to give a big all-over thank you to everyone who sent comments, thoughts and best wishes to the channel over the past year. It's genuinely appreciated. I'm not just saying it. It really matters. It's been a lifeline to me for years. Everyone is read and they help drive the site, so keep them coming. Also, do subscribe to the channel. In fact, subscribe to everything you see my name on. Take a look at my website too. There's merchandise there for those interested. I also want to give a huge thanks to everyone who's signed up to my patreon.com site and thereby helps support the work that we endeavour to carry out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're not a member yet but you want to show your support, follow the link below and part with a little bit of cash. It's the equivalent of the price of a cup of coffee every month. It's easy, but you get early access to all my content and you get exclusive weekly videos. And if it matters to you, it shows your support, and that matters to me. Okay, now it's time for this week's monologue, which for many of you, I suppose, will be the first of the year 2025. I've said before that I feel I have no country anymore. In fact, I know I have no country, none that I recognise, which is the important part. Some will say that if that's how I feel, I should leave, to which I reply, and go where? Because at the moment it's the same all over. But, you know, I have lived in Britain, and Britain, as I knew it in past years, is gone. This has not been a natural evolution, organic, the consequence of a civilization in its own time, changing in rhythm and in tune with the wants and wishes of its resident population. Rather, on the contrary, the Britain I called home has been deliberately dismantled, asset stripped, sold off, or given away. All the things that used to matter, given away and devalued. It's an ongoing process. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has been knighted in the latest honours list. This is a politician who has presided over a world city in grotesque decline, its streets literally wet with the blood of teenagers in a way that would have been unimaginable a decade ago. Labour Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson's gift to the country this Christmas season was the news the national curriculum that must be taught to all children will be manipulated to, in her words, reflect the diversities of our society. Apparently, the education offered to our children has been monocultural and must be decolonised. More of her words. Call it what you will. Use whatever language you prefer to justify the overhaul. But I say it's driven more than by anything else by institutionalised anti-white racism. We're all supposed to be anti-racist now, except it's not just okay to hate white people, even to encourage white people to hate each other and themselves. It's official policy now. Turns out it was never about the content of our characters. Turns out it really is all about the colour of our skins. And white, we seem to be being led to believe, is a bad colour. Children are to be taught to be ashamed of Britain's history and to regard the traditional canon of literature as the tainted product of objectionable white men. A cabal determined that on the road to a new world order and one world government, a country like the Britain of old was an obstacle, and I use the past tense deliberately because it's an obstacle no longer, populated by people who had internalised the notion of democracy and the thought their wants and wishes mattered in the scheme of things. Not so, of course. Democracy was largely an illusion anyway, and when even that confected mirage outlived its usefulness, it was easily set aside. Anyway, as I say, while there's a swatch of dry land called Britain, it's not my country. I just live here, as I might live anywhere that doesn't feel like home. I retain my love of my kith and kin, my hearth and home, but beyond the walls is a place undone. But while I have no geographically determined home, I most certainly do have a home, a home made of people, all sorts of people. That home of the heart is made warm by those people, wherever they may be. I know I've drawn attention in previous years to the Christmas cards my family and I receive nowadays from all over the world. I will do so again because I think it says something that matters. The cards and messages come from as far away as Australia, across Europe, the United States of America. Paradoxically, in a time when it seems fewer and fewer people are making the effort to send physical Christmas cards, we receive a steady flow. Almost every one contains a letter or other lengthy message. This is no small thing. This is people taking the time and giving thought to reaching out to another. Almost all of the cards this year were from people we have never actually met. In that way that has become traditional for us, they come without proper addresses, often just envelopes bearing my name and Stirling, the town where we live, and our postmen do the rest. Messages in Christmas cards are just one feature of this country in which I find myself, in which we find ourselves, this country made of people. Letters come all year round, people bothering to put pen to paper, to go to the mailbox and send messages on their way. I will never be able properly to put into words how much this steady contact means to me, to us. My country, my community, is no longer defined by geographical coordinates. We have found each other on account of shared ideas, shared concerns, shared beliefs. We keep every single letter, every single card. My children have created a filing system for them. They're precious proof of something meaningful, that the human spirit is indomitable, and regardless of the malign intentions of a handful of psychopaths, people find ways to be together. In spirit, if necessary. I often talk to podcast host Jimmy Dore. This week, one of his guests was commentator and trend forecaster, of whom I am also fond, Gerald Celente. As they were winding up their conversation, Gerald offered the following. His thoughts refer specifically to America and Americans, but it seems to me they are universal.
Do everything you can to help anybody you can, and we're in very, very dangerous times. So my just suggestion is get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. One of the top trends we're going to have this year is Off With Their Heads 2.0. The people are tired of the billionaires running the whole show, and we become nothing more than plantation workers of Slavelandia. So be the man or woman that you really want to be, because it's your country, not theirs.
Your country, not theirs. Your country, not theirs. More and more people are realising they've been pushed too far in a direction they did not choose for themselves. The forces ranged against us have no sense of country whatever. The very idea of a homeland is anathema to their kind. By means of wealth and the control of others that great wealth affords, the enemy considers itself above all sense of belonging, any need to belong. The cabal bent on one world government have been hard at work dismantling the countries of the West, as well as inflicting harm elsewhere and everywhere. It's an old trick from a well-worn playbook, seeking to make people ashamed of family, of history, of culture, of country. People atomised and dislocated in this way are fodder for believing whatever they're told next. But the profound message we can absorb and never forget is that we find each other in spite of those malign intentions. Those of us with love of family, with an understanding of history, those of us committed to human life, remain connected by what Abraham Lincoln called the mystic cords of memory. The anti-human agenda, forced step by step by the anti-humanists, is in the end a nihilistic void. They believe in nothing but casting their shadow over more and more. With the advent of another year, we must remain on guard. We must look out for the next ruse, the next malevolent trick, but we're well practiced now. As Gerald Celente says, be the man or woman that you really want to be. In the end, we know what is right and what we want. We have already found each other, and we will prevail